Heading into spring camp, who's going to be the quarterback for Alabama next year? Are things going to be different with Kalen DeBoer? We're going to talk about the quarterback competition and what the offensive coaching staff might look like. We're going to talk some hoops. Yeah, how about Alabama basketball? Nate Oats has another club that's figuring out how to get it done on the hardwood after a tremendous performance Saturday wearing the throwbacks in Tuscaloosa. That and more. Welcome to Sunday Rollback here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying Roll Tide. You're invited to the party. And we're giving you gifts. Bama Tailgate, newlifeart.com, 15% off your regularly priced item. Take advantage of that as you pimp out your man cave like we've done here with ours. Let's get this thing started. Here's your invitation. Roll Tide. Oh, there he is. What do you say, everybody, with Big Elmo? I'm Mick Gillispie at Brett Elmore Show, at Broadcaster Mick. Roll Tide, man. How you doing?
Roll Tide. Having a great weekend, and hope you are too. Roll Tide to you.
I'm having a great weekend too, man. I am. I mean, I love the basketball season when Alabama's good. This is something that we're not used to, but we're growing used to it. Basketball, we're going to get into that. But it's fun during March when you have a team that can make a run. And this Alabama team's been playing good basketball. So we're going to get into that. Of course, earlier this week, some changes made to the coaching staff, lost the OC and the offensive line coach to the NFL. A couple promotions. Nick Sheridan is moving to the play calling job. Jamarcus Shepard got promoted. And then the two guys that stuck around when this staff was created and Nick Saban retired, they got promoted as well. Freddie Roach, the former Alabama player, Robert Gillispie, who was there as well, got promoted. So it's been a good week. We're still hearing that there's starting to hear some names pop up as far as potential coaching replacements, but it's been hard for me to verify those. So I don't want to say any of those yet until I have solid concrete evidence of some of these guys, but some big time program offensive line coaches. And we've said it, I think it would be really important here if Alabama at least uses one of those positions for somebody with proven SEC experience. I don't know that that's going to happen, but with all of that said, I think the $1 million question, Brett, is who's going to be the signal caller? Is this Jalen Milroe's job set in stone, or are we going to have a competition with 4 viable candidates?
Well, I think the thing is about DeBoer coming in, I don't think any position is guaranteed, not even quarterback. I think everyone, as it should be every year, but everyone is on a clean slate right now, especially now with the new coach. But A-Day will be here April 13th. We'll get to see probably all these guys. Milroe, is he the guarantee to be the starting quarterback? I wouldn't say a guarantee. I'm going to say he's the odds-on favorite. I mean, obviously, he was your starter last year. Of course, he lost the gig against South Florida. Kind of turned it all around there toward the end, and we made a really good run. I mean, he gained some Heisman votes. This guy maybe talked about being a Heisman finalist this year if he continues to do well. I would say it's his job to lose, obviously, being the returning starting quarterback, but still, no position safe. But last year, over 2,800 yards passing, 23 touchdowns. And then, of course, I wish he would have ran the ball a little bit more. He's got great legs. We've talked about that. Got great wheels, 531 rushing yards and 12 scores on the ground. Great stats coming into the season, but it's his job to lose. But there's some guys capable of bidding him out for the job.
I look at him and think, first off, he did a great job last year of leading Alabama to an SEC championship game win over Georgia. Turned out to be one of the great wins that Nick Saban has had in his last win at Alabama. But even when I thought he was injured and he had to stay in the pocket, it wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. The guys rallied around him. He made the plays when he needed to. We saw the deep ball being something that was very effective at the beginning of the season, not so much at the end, but he got better in other areas. And you're right. It seemed like he was a little tentative running the ball in certain games, including against Michigan. And looking back, you wish that he would have had more of a killer instinct on those runs, because that's where he separates himself from everyone else. Now, the knock on Milroe is sometimes his footwork isn't great. He looks like he's off balance a little bit when he's throwing the short passes, and that's when you really need to set and throw. You got to put a little more gusto on it. He does have a great arm, but in this passing offense that Alabama is about to transition into, I'm just curious to see how he's able to improve as a quarterback under Nick Sheridan as the play caller and the OC and Coach DeBoer. And I think that the fact that there was a coaching change, and the second guy we'll talk about, Austin Mack, came with those guys from Washington, puts Mack in a spot where he could possibly contend. I mean, he's had a year under their system. So it's Milroe, who's played at Alabama, won games, great leader, fantastic person, checks a lot of boxes. And then Mack, who we're going to talk about next. But I would say someone would really have to play totally better than Milroe to take the job. I just don't think that it's going to be one of those, hey, it's close and another guy gets it. I think it's you, like you mentioned, I think it's going to be his job to win or lose right out of the chute.
Yeah, I think it's his job to lose, obviously, with the success that we had last year. And yeah, I mean, there were some keys, some moments you were talking about where it wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. We ended up winning the ball game. And of course, DeBoer, look what he did with his quarterback at Washington, a Heisman finalist, Penix. I believe he could coach this guy up and maybe raise him up to the next level. Maybe he, of course, we're going to see him throwing that ball around. That's what DeBoer's kind of known for. But if he could get him comfortable in running the football, because we know he can, and we know he's pretty dangerous when he gets loose, especially out in the open field, he would be hard to handle. But we'll see. It's his job to lose, and we'll see how sharp he is on A day. But everyone's got to learn this new offense, so everyone's in the same position. But you're right, though. When you mentioned a few moments ago about Austin Mack, maybe he does have a leg up as he comes from Washington.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the next guy that we're going to talk about. I still say, if I'm handicapping this, that I'm saying that for Milroe, he's the odds-on favorite to be the quarterback of the football team. I mean, it really would be something if he got beat out for the job. Now, when Milroe was on the bench playing behind Bryce Young, I wondered why Bill O'Brien wasn't able to come up with schemes where they used Milroe, even though they had Bryce Young. You could have gotten them both on the field at the same time. We saw Michigan do that against Alabama and against Washington en route to winning a national championship. And that's what college is all about, that creativeness that it takes sometimes to get athletes and talent and game changers on the field at the same time. And I got a feeling that DeBoer is going to be someone who is a lot more ready to do those things than we saw in the past.
Yeah, you hear everybody all the time saying, put him in the Wildcat, That's what that was all about. Just put your best playmakers out there on the field and not necessarily the quarterback back there taking the snap. But, yeah, I mean, let's get creative with the offense. I'm all for it, man. I think what DeBoer brings to the table is going to be some an explosive offense, and let's see if our guy Milroe can lead us on the offensive side of the ball, or is it going to be Mack or these other two guys, Sampson and Longergan?
Well, let's talk about the second guy, and that would be Austin Mack. I put him as the number 2 guy, although I really don't know that there's a lot of separation with the backup quarterback spot, and we're going to talk why all of those guys really have something that they bring to the table. But with Austin Mack, here's a guy who was with Washington last year. By the end of the season, he was the backup to Michael Penix. If something would have happened to Penix, he would have played in those big games, and they felt comfortable with that. They obviously wanted him to transfer to Alabama. He's a thrower. He can run, but he knows their system as well. And the last full body of work that we saw was in high school, where he did really well. All these guys kill it in high school. And then some action, last year as well. But him coming over, understanding the system, having that trust gives these guys, and I'm talking about DeBoer and Sheridan and the rest of the offensive staff, some confidence that, they have someone who can come in and help out. Now, oddly enough, we saw the same thing with the last offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, and Tyler Buckner came in, and Buckner was terrible, but he was terrible at Notre Dame as well. And now he's playing lacrosse again. Great guy, helped the team out. Obviously, you pull for that guy, but it just didn't work in the SEC.
No.
I got a feeling that Austin Mack's going to be a different player when it comes to being able to contribute and have success if he gets an opportunity.
Well, he's a guy that's going to have 4 years of eligibility. He reclassified it, and DeBoer was talking about him at the Senior Bowl and how he really had a good head on him, great arm strength. And you were talking about being the backup and then being very comfortable with him, even at that age. He said, DeBoer said that he had learned the offense about as fast as he's ever seen anyone at that age.
Wow.
So apparently this guy has a really good head on his shoulder. So this guy, if not this year, he may be the future for the Tide.
That's interesting too. Just kind of thinking about that, where someone who is transferring in is already kind of being talked about as, a future star.
Yeah.
And look, having the advantage of having been around these guys, I think makes a big difference.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It makes a huge difference. And, I believe that he's going to be a guy just because DeBoer has worked with him in the past. He's got to have, maybe that's an edge. I don't know. It's going to be hard to knock Milroe out of that top spot, but it may make for an interesting race. I mean, like we said, there's no guarantee here, Mick. There's no guarantee. It'll be awfully hard to knock Milroe off the perch, but this guy's going to get some experience. And like I say, this guy may be the future that we talk about for the Tide.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's going to be fun watching him. Now, the other guy who was the backup last year that I'm excited about seeing is Ty Simpson. And I thought Ty Simpson would have been the guy last year who would have taken the quarterback spot. Comes from a football family. Dad is a college football coach, understands the game at an advanced level, but the speed of the game was something that was difficult for him to adjust to. Stuck with Alabama after Coach Saban retired. That tells us something about his character. We saw flashes of a really good passing quarterback, even though it was rough against South Florida. He still did some things right and led Alabama to the win. It wasn't pretty, but having a pass-happy coach, system, the fact that he's been there already, maybe this is a guy that's ready to kind of step up and really contend.
Well, he's a redshirt sophomore, and at the end of the year, he was talking about how he felt he has grown as a person and a player throughout the year. Remember, this guy, this guy was a former 5-star quarterback. This guy's not just chopped liver. I mean, give me a break. Uh, he's another good one. And yeah, last year he got some playing time. I think the second half USF game. Uh, he saw limited action last year, but threw for 179 yards, I think. And so, um, yeah, he's a guy that stuck around, and that's what I really like about him. You're right. After Coach Saban left, he had thought about it, um, transferring, maybe searching for some playing time, but then he decided to stick around. So another guy that's going to get a shot.
I like that about him.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
I met him for a split second when he was a recruit at the Alabama-Tennessee game in Knoxville.
Yeah.
With Clay Travis. I was at a tailgate with Clay Travis and his crew, and him and his dad were there. Really nice guy, and someone that you pull for,
Mm-hmm.
But I would say if I was kind of saying, okay, where are these guys on the scale? I'd put him slightly at third. Now, the guy that you have it in that fourth spot, Dylan Longergan, is to me a real dark horse.
Yeah.
Because all we hear out of practice is that this guy can wing the ball, and that he was really pushing for that backup job last year at Alabama with his performance in practice. And it was a lot like Tua when Tua was a true freshman, and people were like, man, you got to see this guy throw. Lonergan's that guy. A lot of people feel like he's got big time talent and potential. And as he learns the offense, figures out the system, he's someone that could really impact the offense. And in an open tryout, and the fact that he was there already, maybe he doesn't get the job out of the chute, but who knows?
Well, I like that term you use, dark horse, because I think that fits him to a T. Because we really, you're right. Everybody has been talking about him, and kind of the preseason camp last season, where he was zipping that football. He's going to be a redshirt freshman, so got plenty of time to develop. Also, he was recruited to play both sports, at Alabama with football and baseball.
Yeah.
He's focusing on football through this transition of the coaching transition, but yeah, a real dark horse, and obviously an athlete, playing two sports or trying to play two sports at the university. But a dark horse, that's a good way to put it. So dark horse or wild card, that's Lonergan.
Yeah. So it's exciting, but I think that Alabama has 4 really decent options here when it comes to players that can help.
Yeah, it's like look at the position, and we're in really good shape right there, because I really feel like all 4 of these guys could do a great job quarterbacking the team. You never know what's going to happen, God forbid, with injury situations or whatever. But I would feel comfortable with these guys, because they're all good players, and we're definitely set at the quarterback position.
I wonder what that means when it comes to the style of offense and who it matches best. Because I feel like that's kind of part of this too. Who's the quarterback that just fits this type of offense that we're about to see?
Well, wouldn't you think it would be Austin Mack?
Well, they would think that, right? That's why he transferred, and they wanted him to transfer. And it's the one spot where there's only one ball, so it's not like you're going to see, 4 guys play the quarterback spot. It's a one position, spot. So when you put someone out there, you normally just stick by them, and and then it's up to them to to kind of take care of business. And I just feel like I feel like it's going to be Milroe's job, but he's got to still go out there and prove himself. And I think that's good, man. Like, I really do. I think that it's
I do too.
always good to have competition.
What makes everybody else better? I mean, you hear that all the time. The competition makes everyone better, and it does. I mean, those guys, it's going to be a friendly competition, but they all want to be the man. They all want to be the guy. They all want to be the quarterback of the Crimson Tide, but they'll work hard together. They'll, get in the film room together and encourage one another. But ultimately, there's only one quarterback. And for Milroe, I guess he'd say, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Yeah, and that's what Ric Flair said. Famously.
That's
right. The great 17-time champion, 18-time?
17 or 18-time, yeah.
And he wooed a lot as well.
Yeah,
when
he
would
did.
do that. I'll tell you one team.
Can you believe that guy was a Michigan fan too? I mean, good grief.
I know. I saw him. Michigan had their year. They really did.
Yeah, they did.
Bama Hoops rolls again. I mean, this was a game you knew they were going to win. And they have locked it down at Coleman Coliseum. They scored another 8th time they got 100 points in a game. I love watching the end when the bench comes in and those guys are just throwing up threes. They hit 18 of them in the game. They're 10-2 atop the SEC. They've got some tough games coming up, although Wednesday is another home game against the Gators. They're going to have to play good basketball. 18-7, and they played that hellacious out-of-conference schedule. They still struggle on defense, but they can score so many points in a basketball game. And I got to take my hat off to Nate Oats because he's really turned Alabama into a basketball program, a real basketball program, one that is constantly competing, not afraid to go play anyone, anywhere. Good crowd on hand. The student section was fired up. I love the hard hats. So a lot of pats on the back go around. The effort was there. They're not good defensively, but they try hard. And I think that's part of it, giving effort and energy on the defensive side of the ball. But really good win. And they came in hot after their bye week.
Yeah, Texas A&M led for just 2 minutes and 45 seconds in this game. Alabama has won 15 straight SEC home games there at Coleman Coliseum. That's the longest winning streak since 1988. Oats has got them playing well, and let's face it. Oats has Alabama on the map. We're starting to see some bracketology there, and looks like we're going to get a pretty good seeding in the bracket if everything holds up. But Mick, I mean, Alabama, the state of Alabama has become a basketball state. You know, with what's going on down south at that other university, and what's going on in Tuscaloosa. We play some really good basketball in this state now.
Well, you're a big basketball fan, so I mean, it's nice, and it's not just the Sears show anymore. I mean, we're seeing some other guys, Estrada, playing some good basketball. I enjoy watching the like I said, I enjoy the effort that this team plays with, and I love that it's just fast paced. I mean, and they're not afraid to score. Sears, 23 points, 8 of 14 shooting. If 4 of those were from 3, but there were other guys involved. Latrell Wrightsell was good again, 16 points in the game, and Rylan Griffin seems to contribute. I just like the balance that this team can get you with, where they basically bring you out from guarding the basket with the threes, and then they attack the hoop.
Yeah, and I love the distribution of the ball. I talk about that a lot. 5 players in double figures. They're distributing the ball very well.
Is there any truth to the rumor that you may grow a Grant Nelson mustache?
I've seen you rock a pretty decent mustache.
I got a stash. I haven't had it since this summer, but
yeah.
If they won the SEC, maybe I'll bring it back. Yeah, if
Is
they
that
win
thing
the
coming
SEC
back?
again, I'll do
Oh,
it.
okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching the Tide roll, and this is one of those weeks too where they had an odd. You almost call it a bye week because they didn't play the midweek game, so they had a little time to rest. They'll get back to action Wednesday. Florida's coming to town. 6:00 tip. I think that'll be on the Deuce, ESPN 2. So another big game in the SEC, but we're winding down, Mick. It's today's February 18th. So we're winding down. March Madness will be here before you know it. Tournament time will be here, and looking forward to it. You're right. I love basketball. Now, March Madness, I don't know if you're anything like I am, but March Madness, I can sit from morning until night and watch game after game after game after game. I don't care who's playing.
Yeah, no, I like them too. Looking at the schedule that these guys have, I'm going to put it up here. There's a lot of winnable games on here. Look, you take care of business against Florida, right? Win at home. You got to go to Kentucky, but this isn't a Kentucky team that has really held home court. I mean, they had like a 3-game home losing streak, although they're dangerous. They have a lot of good players.
Yeah.
Then at Ole Miss, another tough game. Any road game is going to be tough.
Yeah.
That game against Tennessee, Coleman Coliseum is going to be rocking there. And that could be for the SEC. I mean, it really could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
At Florida, always tough to play in Gainesville. So you play Florida twice. And then Arkansas is always a team that'll give you trouble. And I know they're not having one of their great years, but it's crazy to think you're down to 6 games. How many is it going to take for them to win the SEC?
I don't know. That Tennessee game, though, is huge. It's a favorable end of the season. You're right. Kentucky is not the same Kentucky of old. They're having some issues, even though I think they got a lot of their roster back from what was it? I think they had some trouble there, and everyone's either health issues or something. But anyway, I was watching Calipari the other night talk about it. Go on the road at Rupp is going to be tough on a Saturday. Got to go to Ole Miss. Got to go to Florida. Got Arkansas. That Tennessee game, could be for the SEC. And I haven't even looked up the standings as of right now because I know you got Bama in there and South Carolina, I think, is right there toward the top. Is that right?
Yeah.
Then Auburn is up there as well, and Tennessee. It's going to be an interesting stretch. All the games are important now. I mean, it's the proverbial crunch time. You got to win. I mean, you just got to win.
Yeah, it's got to keep on rolling. And when they've lost this year, the losses have been pretty ugly. I mean, it's not like, it's not like I guess I should preference that by saying the conference losses on the road. The other games that they played, they lost. They put up a pretty good fight in some of those games, but
that Tennessee game was terrible.
Yeah, that's one that they're lucky that they get another shot at Tennessee.
Right.
And I'm curious to see how they show up in that one. I'm sure they've been thinking about that rematch.
Yeah. I'm sure that's in the back of their minds, but you got Alabama up there, 10-2 in the conference. Auburn's got 3 losses. Tennessee's got 3 losses.
Yeah,
South Carolina and Florida's got 4 losses. So we're in good shape. We control our own destiny. Just win, baby. Just win.
They got a pregame talk from Nick Saban today.
Yeah, I saw that.
The guy who's on ESPN Game Day. No, I'm just kidding. The Alabama football coach. I miss
that guy
him.
from ESPN.
Yeah.
I saw him in the crowd. He looked just as normal as he could be. He looked pissed off. Him and his wife Terry there in the crowd, and I guess he's just back from a golf outing. I don't know. But
Would you
enjoying a
go and
little
ask him for a
basketball.
pick? Would you go ask him for a pick?
No, no, not right. Too soon. Too soon. Maybe later on down the line, yeah, but too soon.
You think he would give you the stare down?
I don't care. He works for ESPN. Who's he?
Look right here. Look.
I mean, all he is a guy who works for ESPN. What do you want me to do about it?
I know. He's got to be like I've heard he's a really funny guy, but he does give you that serious when you get that serious look from him. Like he's pretty intimidating.
He is intimidating. I would say, but I think once you get to know the guy, I think he would be extremely funny and pretty cool to hang out with. I saw where AJ McCarron was talking about he had texted Coach Saban after his retirement and congratulated him, told him it was a hell of a run, and enjoy the grandbabies and enjoy all this and enjoy your golf outing. And he said that he was going to, when he had free time, he wanted to play golf with Saban and get some of that NIL money that he didn't get while he was playing for Alabama out of him on the golf course.
Oh yeah.
But no, I mean, I know Saban's enjoying the retirement. I think, I would love for someone just to talk to him about how is he really adjusting to the retired life. Of course, the interview he gave right after he announced, I don't think that matters. I think that I'd love to get his response now or maybe 6 months from now to see how he's really enjoying not being in coaching, especially when that first game hits. I mean, what's he going to be feeling like?
I don't know. You think he ever gets back into it?
No, I don't think so. But I wonder what he told the team before the game.
I mean, I'm sure it was, what it takes to win. Saban. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's got his, the things that are important, and it's trusting the process and doing your job and giving effort and supporting the other guys on the field. I mean, no one's ever been better technically, and he's also great at getting the most out of his roster. And I'm sure that when even though he's been Alabama's football coach, it still is phenomenal. You turn around and this guy walks through the door. I mean, that face right there, Brett, you might make a joke to me, but if he was staring at you with those eyes, you would freeze.
Would you piss your pants, Mick?
I've been really close to him lots of times.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a talker and I don't talk. I'm just like,
I don't say anything. I wouldn't dare ask him a question in a press conference. That was for sure.
Does he have time for a selfie? I was wondering when he was sitting there, how many people were like, I got to go get my selfie with Saban now.
Not a soul.
And then they get that look,
not
would be
funny.
Soul. It would be funny.
I would have to be knee deep drunk, and dared to go do it.
What would be funny is you go, hey, do you mind taking a picture with Miss Terry and me and give him the camera? Give him your phone.
Right.
That would be hilarious. But it's good to see him there. I wonder what the impact he's having. I wonder what the impact he's having on Coach DeBoer, because Coach DeBoer said, I want him to come in and give suggestions and stuff like that. I wonder if he really is. And I wonder what that relationship's like.
That's a good question. I don't know. We may find out more here as we ease along the off season. Maybe some of that will be revealed, but I would love to know what the relationship is like. And it's different when Coach Saban comes in to give the pregame talk before a game, but have they asked DeBoer to do it yet?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's probably been pretty busy though.
Yeah, that's
these
true.
days.
I forgot Saban's retired. He can do that kind of thing.
He's got time.
He's got time now on his hands.
He'll be catching some baseball games. He's a huge Yankees fan. and a big baseball fan. So
I didn't know he was a Yankees fan.
yeah. Jim Hendry, who used to work with us at the Cubs, works with the Yankees, and Nick would be at camp sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Yankees camp, yeah, and they like him. He said he's a really good dude. When he left LSU, though, the people from down there, they weren't real happy with him. And
No, for some reason they were a little bit pissed off at him.
Yeah, but he did such a great job. I mean, it's still glad that to see him around at a basketball game. And
What would have happened if he would have stayed down there?
What do you mean?
At LSU?
Oh, I don't know. They would have ran off a bunch of wins.
Golly, man.
And it takes like a special coach. I remember being at working at women's basketball when Wendell Hudson left, and Christy Curry and her staff weren't welcoming to him as a, really, he got, whatever it was, he got fired or resigned or whatever, but he was still an Alabama guy, which he is now, and coming in.
Yeah.
And I still don't like them much because of that. Like, it's like, hey man, here's a guy that left a bigger legacy than anyone, with everything that he dealt with on and off the court. And you guys are making it uncomfortable for him to come in and watch a game. Like,
that's crazy.
He's such a great guy. He wouldn't say that, but I was there and I saw it, and it was embarrassing. And, but look, Saban won championships, and he's left this legacy. Alabama women's basketball, we don't even talk about it because there's really nothing to ever talk about besides Jay Barker's daughter, who is doing fantastic this year. And they just, my advice is for Christy to just give Barker the ball. Give
Barker the ball. Everything will be fine.
Yeah, she'll cover up for your bad coaching. What's funny is that we've been talking about a new basketball arena, Brett.
Yeah.
And one of the things about this basketball arena is that they were going to build it, and then the funding changed because everything went up. We had that big inflation and everything with the economy went bad, and they didn't build it. So now they're talking about, that there's private companies that may come in and build an arena. We'll see what happens, but Bama needs a new arena. And I was thinking, like, that would be, if you had the resources to pull it off, it would be such a good investment. Obviously you'd all of a sudden, maybe you'd care about having a women's program that could actually draw some fans, because there's as event wise, if you invested in a building, to have all of those dates blacked out for a team that draws 500 people makes no economic sense. Right. But you look at South Carolina and what they're doing and the crowds that they draw in Tennessee and LSU and Iowa and Maryland. I mean, there's places that as an event bring people in for women's basketball. Men's basketball's got the best audience that it's had since I've been in Tuscaloosa because of Nate Oats.
Yeah.
You bring in a private company to do that. There may be pressure on Alabama to win in those sports because they're going to want to fill up the arena instead of throwing away dates. I mean, can you imagine if you had the option of bringing in a big time act or women's basketball? Be such a loss for you. I mean, if it was like a private owned building and it wasn't like a university, like, well, we're going to do it because we have to. What if you really cared about the butts in the seats? What if you ran it like a business, which we do with football, right? But we don't with women's basketball. We accept the fact that the team stinks and we just kind of pretend we don't even see it. Like, when's the last time anyone even had a conversation about women's basketball? Me. I'm the only one that talks about it.
Yeah. Today's the first time I think I've talked about women's basketball in Alabama.
And we just kind of talked about it because of how rude they were.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, would I rather have a concert going on or?
Well, if you're making money.
Yeah, and make them play at Tuscaloosa County High School. They can fill up that gym and.
Well, they played at Foster Auditorium, and then that was an excuse why she couldn't win. And then, they go to Coleman and they can't win there.
You can win at Alabama. You mentioned they're winning at LSU, Tennessee, South Carolina, Maryland, Iowa. They're winning everywhere else. Why can't you win in Tuscaloosa? It's obviously coaching.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to go get someone that that young women that play basketball relate to.
Well,
Someone that played in the NBA. We got a coach that got to the Final Four in the year 2000. None of the kids that she recruited even knew that she was at Purdue because they weren't even alive yet. Their parents were probably in school back then. It's like go get
yeah,
somebody out of the WNBA that has that has the same fire that Dawn Staley has to go
yeah,
out and recruit that's going to be able to go because it's the event part of it.
yeah.
When you want a new arena and it's going to cost a lot of money, you can't just throw away dates because of, well, we got to do it. Gymnastics is always drawn well.
I was about to say gymnastics draws great numbers.
It just puzzles me every year when they're either out if they barely make the NCAA tournament once out of every 10 years, and then they're normally out pretty fast. I mean, it's not like they're sneaking into the Sweet 16 or making a run or middle lower of the pack in the conference. And no one ever talks about it. Can you imagine if softball did that, or if gymnastics won all those championships, and if they don't win a championship, we're talking about them. But for some reason, women's basketball is like it's like, oh, okay, well, they stink, but we're not really going to pay attention to it. Or they're middle of the pack, but who cares? She's a nice lady. Nice lady or not, when you're building a new arena, you've got to have people that show up to the events that you're putting on. And when you have more people there who work for the university that are there to watch
Right.
the event, in any other world, they would cancel the event.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. And you talk about the success of the softball program and the gymnastics program. We need success in women's basketball. I mean, here where I live, our girls' high school basketball team's in the Elite Eight.
Wow.
In the state, and they have a few players that's being recruited. One of the girls just came from Florida State on a visit, but she's been offered by Alabama. But and someone that I worked with, because this girl plays multiple sports, she plays basketball, softball, and volleyball. He made a very good point to me. He said, why would you go on a basketball scholarship to Alabama to play in front of nobody?
Yeah,
when
right.
you could play, softball that gets a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great coach, won a national championship, always in the mix, gets to the World Series every year. There just needs to be accountability, and I get part of it's probably they don't want to pay to get like a legitimate coach there, but having a coach and her husband, like it's kind of like a rec league. It doesn't work when you're trying to build up.
That's very odd.
Yeah, right. Like, look, let's go out and get the best and get people to show up to the games and take pride in the team and win some games, instead of not. But anyway, that's here nor there. I'm just curious to see if they can pull this building off, because we're going to end up having a men's basketball coach equivalent to the women's coach if we don't get this guy the arena that he needs to win national championships, because that's what Nate Oats is pushing for, right? Like, he is legitimately a coach that can win championships, but having the building and making it, and like they win all their home games anyway, but making it to where he can go out and sell the building along with the program. And I know that it's expensive. NIL is part of that too, but I don't want it to change, man. I love the fact that this men's basketball program is legitimately a contender.
Me too. But you're right. In order to keep Oates, you're going to have to make him happy by upgrading the facilities. I mean, it's just like anything else. I mean, football, they get anything they want.
Yeah.
Basketball, they need to pony up and go ahead and get to building a new coliseum, gymnasium, field house, whatever you want to call it, and let's make it nice. And it's part of your infrastructure there at the university. It's a part of building a program. And this guy, he has proven that he can win. He's proven that he can build championship caliber programs and teams. We need to give him the best,
Yep. Yep. And maybe they need to be creative.
Yeah,
And maybe that
there's
means
nothing
an
wrong with that.
outside, right? Maybe that's an outside company that you team up with to build this thing, but it's got to be built, and it needs to happen soon. And I heard there's some rumblings where some stuff could be going on behind the scenes, and I certainly hope so. Now, I love Greg Byrne. I think he's done an excellent job,
I think he's
and
one of the best. Yeah,
I think he is too. And I'm sure that he's figuring it out. But I'm just pushing as a guy that can't wait for March Madness. And with 6 games left, there's Alabama better than Kentucky at basketball, which is amazing to me. Right?
yeah, me too.
And Kentucky would trade coaches with us today. They would trade coaches with us today. Honestly, yeah. I don't know many teams in this league that wouldn't take Nate Oats over who they got.
No, there's not many. No.
So, but and the fact that the state of Alabama, because Bruce Pearl's doing a nice job too, in the same state, it really makes this time of year fun because we can talk some hoops and there's something worth talking about. So anyway, that's it for Sunday Rollback, Brett. We've kind of touched on all of the issues. Chad is in San Antonio on vacation, so we wish him the best. He'll be back next week.
Yeah, but I thought earlier in the week we also talked about 90s country performers. We didn't even talk about that today did you miss any of the 90s? Because we did miss a couple, okay?
Yeah, who did we miss?
Lone Star, I think. Did we miss Lone Star?
I don't know. Maybe we mentioned Lone Star.
Sawyer Brown.
Yeah, Sawyer Brown was a good one. Let's say Clint Black, Vince Gill, Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks dominated. Alan Jackson.
Ricochet. Do you remember Ricochet?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking Asleep at the Wheel.
I don't remember that. I mean, I probably know their songs. Confederate Railroad
too was a good one.
I knew you were going to say that. Tracy Lawrence is playing at the Floor Bama with
really
Riley Green. Yeah, in April. Part of the
also a few others. Little Texas.
Yeah, Little Texas.
Bellamy Brothers.
Okay.
Oh man, I loved the Bellamy Brothers. Kentucky Headhunters.
Yeah, Kentucky. You're missing a big one though. Clay Walker.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who played. Who was the lead guitarist for him for like forever. He just retired.
Really?
Yeah.
There were some good ones there. Yeah, I remember all those. My dad listened to country, so I got a pretty big dose of it in his cars, and I liked it back then. It just got so good there, and then it goes like this, like anything else,
Yeah.
And then went into after that, there was like the movement of really great rap music with Biggie Smalls and Tupac and Snoop Dogg.
Now you're opening up another can of worms here.
Yeah, remember those days? It was like if you like music, like there's just been like runs, Dr. Dre. It's like
Dr. Dre.
Yeah. Well, seeing the Super Bowl show with Usher, right? And everybody's like, man, Usher was great, and it was like, yeah, I remember when it was like there was like a run of great music back then. Boys to Men. Did you like Boys to Men?
Boys to Men, they were good. They had that R&B soul, man. They were they were good. Ludacris, when he popped out on the stage the other night, I was like, "There's my boy Luda."
Yeah, I liked him too. Yeah. So I could sit here and talk about this. So you guys get in the comments section. I think we got in this conversation. I read the comments and people like that too. So
yeah.
But look, thanks for hanging out with us. Sunday Rollbacks, our extended version show where we like to kind of just recap what happened during the week. We'll get into some recruiting. As Alabama moves forward, they get ready for spring ball. We're going to do, player profiles, talk about some of the guys that have committed. It was fun talking about Mbakwe, who I think is going to be a difference maker on this football field. He's already been one in the recruiting cycle and helping keep this class together. But I'm excited to see him and a lot of these other guys. It's going to be a whole lot of fun as we get ready for spring ball. So want to remind you guys that we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort. You like music? They've got some acts celebrating their 30th anniversary in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Golden Moon Casino, Silver Star. You got the Timeout Sports Lounge, but they've got some really good bands coming up. Some acts. Kool and the Gang going to play there. Brian McKnight, he's going to be there. The Wallflowers are going to be there. There's some other ones coming too. Lone Star, you said Lone Star, right? They're coming, and there's going to be more that'll be announced as this, as we get closer to summer. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh man, can't wait.
Yeah.
They always have a great entertainment, and of course, I like playing the roulette, man. That's my thing.
Is that your thing, roulette? Well, they got it all there, table games, all that stuff, slots, the Dancing Rabbit golf course, which is the Augusta you can play, and obviously the spa. Go back in there, kind of get taken care of. So Golden Moon Casino in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and we appreciate their support. All right, guys, that does it for Sunday Rollback. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Make sure that you like and follow. Give us a thumbs up. Roll Tide, everybody.